Hey everyone, I'm Megan Sullivan and welcome to my PlayStation 5 impressions video for Romancing SaGa 2, developed and published by Square Enix. You know the drill. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Thank you. So full disclosure, I have a somewhat tumultuous relationship with the SaGa franchise. I've tried playing several of them over the years, but this series has just never clicked for me. Usually it's because the story fails to capture me, or the combat mechanics end up feeling obtuse, which is why I initially ignored the announcement that Romancing SaGa 2, which I initially think came out in 1993, was getting a 3D remake. By the way, there was a mobile version that came out and that got ported, but I think they got mixed reviews. At any rate, I've always felt a little guilty about not liking the SaGa series, so I decided to give it one more chance, and boy am I glad I did. This demo for Romancing SaGa 2 was a super good time, and it makes me want to play the full game when it comes out on October 24th in the States. Now, if you're on the fence about getting this game, after all, there are a lot of big RPGs coming our way, let me make the case for Romancing SaGa 2. And the first thing I want to highlight is the unique narrative. At first, it starts off tropey. You are the ruler of a kingdom, and it's your duty to defeat 7 heroes threatening the land for unknown reasons. The ruler is accompanied on this quest by a number of faithful companions, each of whom have their own backstory and combat skills. Pretty typical so far. What grabs my attention, though, is that you won't just be playing as a single main character following a linear story route. Romancing SaGa 2 takes place over several generations, and the decisions you make in each generation will impact how the story unfolds. It's a little bit reminiscent of Crusader Kings that way, and I actually dig that because it makes the story much more engaging. Now, we only get to play as one emperor in the demo, and I really don't want to spoil things, so I'll keep it vague, but the ending of the demo skillfully sets up a new scenario for a new ruler, and the dramatic transition between one emperor and the other has me wanting more. So, good start there. The next thing I want to highlight is the enjoyable turn-based combat. Now, combat is usually where the SaGa series loses me because it gets weirdly obtuse, but not here, and I suspect this is due to a number of quality of life improvements that make the rules of combat easier to understand, actions easier to perform, and a more intuitive interface that visibly shows an enemy weakness once it's been exploited. Oh, also, you can adjust the difficulty, so if battle becomes a struggle, you can knock it down to casual mode, which I, for one, appreciate. So the way turn-based combat works is that you have 5 characters in a party. Each character has their own unique weapon skills and magical abilities. They also have their own United Attack, which is a special move that lets characters team up to deal some serious damage to unsuspecting foes. What's interesting, though, is that characters don't level up in the traditional RPG manner, because they don't level up their base stats like speed and strength. Those are actually static. Instead, every time they use a specific type of weapon or spell in battle, they'll acquire technical points. Once they accumulate enough technical points, their proficiency level with that particular weapon or spell will increase. But they can't accumulate any points unless they're actually in the combat party. Thus, the best way to improve a character is to keep them in regular rotation and to be sure to repeatedly use their unique attack abilities to both improve those abilities and learn related skills. Of course, you can't just spam these abilities to try and upgrade them faster. Special moves are tied to a battle point meter, which drains every time you pop off a cool move instead of a regular attack. And the only way to refill this meter is to use rare replenishing items between battles, or look for a revitalizing pool to stand in. I know this sounds annoying, but I like it because it adds a nice tactical element to battle. Oh, speaking of tactics, being mindful of your actions isn't the only strategic element you have to be aware of. Battle formation is particularly important if you want to survive a run-in with monsters. These formations are designed to both take advantage of the enemy's position on the battlefield and protect vulnerable characters from hard-hitting attacks. Now, the demo only has 2 formations. Free formation, where everyone is lined up in a row, and the Imperial Cross formation, which is all about keeping your main character, i.e. your Emperor, safe by having characters to the front of them, to the back of them, and flanking them on either side. Pro tip, tanky characters should go in the front and the weakest should go in the back. The idea that victory hinges on the right formation is pretty cool, and I'm curious to see more formations in the future. Now let's move on to the 3D visuals. Okay, these aren't great, but they're not terrible either. Character designs are colorful, but not too over the top, and while exploration was limited and somewhat linear in the demo, I did like some of the unique areas I found in dungeons or while walking around town. They're kind of neat to look at. I also really like the English voice acting and the rearranged soundtrack, both of which are surprisingly good for a game that doesn't look like it had a huge budget. By the way, shout out to the voice actor for Gerard, the prince featured in the demo. He had some tough emotional beats to overcome during the narrative, and he did a great job. What I'm trying to say is that I really enjoyed my time with Romancing SaGa 2, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. Are you willing to try it? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. See you later.
Our future is bright.
Hey, Mr. Minstrel, will you please tell me one of your stories?
I shall tell you a tale of a war fought many, many years ago. A tale of Avalon and the Varen Empire, and the succession of emperors that led it into prosperity. Spirits, lend me your voices, that this tale might inspire all to greater heights. The stage is set during the time of good Emperor Leon. In those days of Eld, Avalon was a nation of little note. Conflict had spread throughout the land, like fire through dense brush. Leon knew that quenching its flames was key to unifying the people under one banner. Under his roof, he cared for two sons, the courageous Victor and the kind-hearted Gerard. One fine spring day, Emperor Leon took Gerard out on a foray to cull the fiends lurking in a cave.
This cave has caused our people to suffer for far too long. We must eradicate the foul creatures within and seal it off.
Understood, Father.
We are to reconvene with the Vanguard unit. On the way, I shall teach you the basics of combat. However, this is no training exercise. You must be prepared both mentally and physically.
I shall do my best to see that I am.